Welcome to Uffsides. I'm Matt Ufford, your host. With me to talk AFC Conference Preview 2013. The season's close. My God, it's close. Is Nick Stevens, my favorite unapologetic Patriots homer. How are you, sir?
I am doing so very well because I smell football. Is there anything that actually isn't savory or edible that smells better than football? It's like waking up to bacon. Thick-cut hickory smoked bacon in the pan that first preseason game. Oh, it's pretend it counts for nothing, but it is no sexy.
That's actually ball sweat. We've got a lot to talk about today. The AFC is a big conference. It's actually the same size as the NFC, but every conference is a big conference in the NFL.
That's right.
I want to hit on some of the biggest stories of the offseason before we get into the details, really work things out.
Right.
I think we'll start with your favorite team, the New England Patriots,
yes.
I believe they're called. Obviously, Aaron Hernandez and the murder charges led the offseason news. But that's one piece of a Patriots offense that lost. Tom Brady lost his top 5 receivers. How are you feeling about the Patriots this season? Little step back, maybe?
No, a lot of people see this as a perfect year for there to be the regression, the Patriot regression that everybody has been dying for. Cut back to like late June when the Hernandez news broke and Welker had recently left and everything was looking terrible. And all of a sudden, that Patriot bandwagon was just like there were people sticking outside the windows. Like this ship was taking on water. There were so many people getting on board. It was the Dolphins' time. Now they're the one who signed all the free agents. They had the better offseason. But you know what? You cannot, I know you've heard this a million different times, you can't count the Patriots out. Ever. Gronk's hurt. There's no Hernandez. Welker's gone. Brandon Lloyd is sitting in a corner listening to weird music, The Cure on the headphones. Fine, whatever. It's weird, it's uncomfortable. But they're still going to be great because you've got the best coach and you've got one of the best quarterbacks. They are leaders of men. They know how to get it done. Brady took them within one play of going to the Super Bowl with Rashae Caldwell and Doug Gabriel at wide receiver, and Jabbar Gaffney.
Jabbar Gaffney.
Right. And there's no way in the world that Aaron Dobson, Josh Boyce, Ken Tompkins, I know their names.
I don't know who these people are.
Nobody does.
Who these people
but you're going to know their names soon enough because Brady makes them winners. Add in the running game and add in the will and the way. It's going to happen.
I'm not going to throw out things like leaders of men, but I will say that Bill Belichick's kind of like this super intelligent mold where it's like life finds a way.
Right.
Like Belichick will be like, now we're a running team. Like they'll just find they'll find a way to get their 11 wins, their 12 wins, their 13 wins. What it just happens every year now. We just know to expect it for every year for the last decade. That's just they get their 10 wins or more and they win the division because the rest of the division's crap.
You can set your clock to it every year. We know that water's wet. The sky is blue. We're not going to like most of the things we get for Christmas, and the Patriots are going to win 11 games. That's all there is to it.
So that's a given. Let's talk about the other big team that was huge in the offseason in terms of news. Denver Broncos signed away Wes Welker from the Patriots. But more than that, like every single Broncos VP or every single person in the front office besides John Elway had a DUI. Lost Elvis Dumervil in a hilarious fax machine mishap. And I see this as a team that it's a sexy pick to go to the Super Bowl, but they still have the problems in the secondary they had last year. Raheem Moore, who was the reason they didn't go to the Super Bowl, mistiming his jump, is their starting safety alongside Mike Adams. Who's Mike Adams? I don't know.
Mike, not the Mike Adams that plays tackle for the Steelers.
No, this is a safety who is named Mike
completely
Adams.
different. Mike Adams just sounds like the name of a guy that just, like, every time you need something done at the office, like, it gets done 12 to 15 minutes too late. Oh, Adams. Look at Raheem Moore. Okay, how could you possibly, like, the same way that the Ravens got rid of Billy Cundiff because there was just that Cundiff stank that could have been on the 2012 Ravens brought over from the Shankopotamus up in Foxborough the year before in the AFC Championship game. The first thing I would have done, if I was John Fox, at the end of that game that they should have absolutely won but found a way to lose, I would have just walked into the locker room and just, More! Out! Done. Just don't. Absolutely not. There was one play that the Ravens could have run, and they ran it, and he whiffed on it. And it stings still. Is this team ready to make the leap beyond that now? I'm sure. Peyton Manning always has his playoff miscues, and he usually plays better the next year after a bed-essing the year before. And, of course, adding my former second favorite Patriot, Wes Welker, white receiver. It's killing me that we lost Tom Brady's best friend, but that could actually benefit the Patriots because they won't be looking Welker's way every play, and now Peyton Manning has the third option and the passing version of a running game that he's lacked. Plus, now you add little Monte Ball. I mean, you know, Thunderball is going to add a lot to the Broncos. They're a very sexy pick. I'm just still trying to figure out what happened at the offseason party that led everybody to get a DUI and crap the bed with the... Who has a fax problem anymore?
I don't know. Moving on.
Yes.
We've got 5 new coaches in the AFC. Really quick, I'm just going to run through them. You give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down whether this will be an improved team, an improved coaching experience.
Got it.
Mike McCoy in San Diego.
Better than Norv Turner.
That's a very, not exactly the most ringing
That's almost like the half and half is sour. All we have is skim milk. You can still put it in my coffee.
The milk is still good for another couple hours. Andy Reid and KC.
Over the worst coach of 2012?
A live body is a huge step up from Romeo Crennel.
Right.
What about Mr. Chudzinski?
Chudzinski, Coach Chud. Listen, I will never bet against a coach that is named after one of my favorite 1985 horror spoof films.
Fair enough. Thumbs up. Gus Bradley in Jacksonville.
Gus Bradley. Listen, I am sitting in the room with one of the most unapologetic Seattle Seahawks fans known. He did a whole lot of good for you. I would be an idiot covered in stupid sauce if I thought there was any reason to besmirch Gus Bradley in your presence. Plus, could he be any worse than Mike Mularkey? The man's last name was exactly what your grandparents said to you when they didn't believe you.
Lastly, Doug Marrone in Buffalo.
Doug Marrone. Come on.
The Guns of Doug Marrone.
I love it. Give her the old Doug Marrone, huh? Nobody does anything good in Buffalo anymore, period. Outside of C.J. Spiller, I wouldn't want to touch or have anything to do with the Buffalo Bills with your 10-foot pole.
I feel like their coaching search was like, who's in the area?
Right. Hey, do you guys know
who else is in upstate New York?
Who's driving? That's right. Wow, what an exhausting coach. So, yeah, why don't we just, hey, there's someone up in Syracuse. He knows how to coach the football. Bring him down here. It'll be fine. I feel like they hired Doug Marrone just to tell the rest of the NFL, screw you, you think we're so bad we're Buffalo? Yeah, we'll bring in the coach from Syracuse and not bring in his quarterback that he said he loves so much.
So that kind of covers our big moves in the AFC over the offseason. I want to get into the nitty-gritty. Let's talk divisions in front of the big video board.
Ooh, sounds fancy.
This is SB Nation's AFC preview. We're talking AFC East right now with Nick Stevens. Nick, let's start with your completely impartial feelings about the New England Patriots. 12-4 last year. Over/under, according to Las Vegas, for their win total, 11 this year. What do you think?
I think Las Vegas is selling Tom Brady and his rededicated 36-year-old going on 24-year-old self a little bit short. Last season finished kind of sourly, so much so that they told everyone that was good at catching footballs, get out of Foxborough.
Brady lost his top 5 receivers last year. Well, Gronkowski will be back at some point, but right now missing those top 5 pass catchers last year.
Yeah, I'm thinking Gronkowski will start the year on the pup, but otherwise you lie. Welker, get out of here. You've been terrific. Deion Branch, you're 96 years old. Nobody likes hanging around with Brandon Lloyd.
Or Aaron Hernandez, for that matter.
Or Aaron Hernandez. And for good cause, I've heard.
Yes.
So, Pats, most people probably think 11-5 is a reasonable record. 12-4, that's what Vegas is, 11. I'm going to go 13-3. Favorable schedule, rededicated Tom Brady, and a boss running game.
I think you're a little bit biased. I'm going to say it's a push on the 11. I see them, they've got a tough, the entire division is facing the NFC South and the AFC North. It's a tough slate of games. They're going to find a way to lose some, especially with Danny Amendola getting injured by week 7 probably.
Little known fact, Danny Amendola was built from the leftover parts of J.D. Drew.
Next up, Dolphins, 7-9 last year. Promising start for Ryan Tannehill and rookie coach. 7.5 is their over/under for wins. What do you think?
I really like the way that Joe Philbin conducts himself because he spends absolutely no emotion whatsoever putting the Dolphins to work. They have a very icy, cool demeanor. Much like the fans. It's fantastic that they have resemble the emotional state of your coach week every week at Margaritaville Stadium. I'm going to sell low here. That's not enough for the Dolphins. I'm going to go 9-7, maybe with a cap of 10-6. Love the moves they made at wide receiver. Brandon Gibson, re-signing Hartline, bringing in Mike Wallace. Don't like the running back position, but if Tannehill is anything but serviceable, you're looking at a really strong offense with Cameron Wake and a decent pass rush. 10-6 for the Dolphins.
I'm going to give him over, but just barely. 8-8 is what.
Fair enough.
Here's something we can agree on. The New York Jets being lousy this year. 6-10 last year. Actually had a shot at the playoffs as late as week 14, I think, before the wheels really came off. 6.5 is their over-under. I can't even finish that sentence. I think we're going to say under. Let's review.
Now, they say that nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills, but nobody has the wheels come off of the wagons and the flaming wheels go running into the crowd and people die like when the New York Jets. Because it's just such a beautiful disaster. The way the Jets have built this team, the way they've fallen apart with all the braggadocio from Rex, it's amazing. They've got running backs getting arrested. Mark Sanchez, first thing in the preseason, threw a pick 6. There's so much greatness to come in terms of terrible from the Jets. I got them going 3-13.
I think that's we can agree that it's going to be under for sure.
Right.
It's the same team as last year, except more questions at quarterback, worse running backs, still lousy wide receivers. Braylon Edwards, ooh, that's never a good sign for your team. Things are bad for the Jets. Let's talk about Bills briefly. They're a team.
Yep.
6-10 last year, 6.5. I feel like they're going to be slightly over that.
Right. Well, hey, listen, who am I to say that a team that has head coach rhymes with the lead singer of Extreme, Gary Cherone, Doug Marrone? Come on, 6.5. God, it's got to be at least. There's no way you can see the Bills possibly doing any better than 6-10. I think they're going to reduplicate the success of last year. More balls to C.J. Spiller? Great. Questions at wide receiver beyond Stevie Johnson? Yes. And a decimated defense that's not going to offer much more than a serviceable secondary. So if you hit them over the middle, they are gone, baby, gone.
I'm going to say C.J. Spiller getting 30 touches a game is going to be worth 7 wins. Or at least that's what I hope. I'm going to say that's slightly over. So there's your down and dirty AFC East preview. Good news, as always, for fans of the New England Patriots. Less so for everybody else in the division, especially Jets fans. Sorry, Rex Ryan, you're still a good quote. Let's get into the AFC North now, home of your world champion Baltimore Ravens, 10-6 last year before smoking their way through the playoffs. Nick, their over-under prediction this year is 8.5 from Las Vegas. Is that high or low?
To play the part of a betting man, I would say that I'm going to go with the over for the 2013 version of the Super Bowl champion Baltimore Ravens, but it's only going to be a wee spot over. Say it with me. Wee spot. They're going to be 9-7 this year. They've made some excellent defensive replacements. I like the Matt Elam kid coming out of Florida, but he's got to fill the shoes of both Bernard Pollard and Ed Reed.
So he has to play well, make the interceptions, and injure Patriots.
Yeah. Brady screams with rage. But how is Elmas Dumerville going to make up for all the rest that they lost on the line? No more Danielle Ellerby. No more Paul Kruger. No more Ray Lewis. No more deer antler spray. No more fire dances. No more inspirational pregame speeches. Plus, Joe Flacco got paid twice what he was worth. I don't see it.
I agree with you. They're going to be over, but not have as good of a year. The team's going to take a little step back this year. I don't like Dennis Pitta being gone for the year with a broken hip, like a 70-year-old man, and Anquan Bolden being on the Niners. This is a team that is not going to be a Super Bowl champion this year.
Right.
The Bengals, however, could be a different story. I predict that they're going to be well over that 8.5 win total. I've got them as the AFC North champions this year.
Do you really?
I do. This is a team that's fantastic on defense. Only hole is Ray Maluga. I don't think he's going to be starting the entire year. And also, this is a team that was solid on offense and added great offensive pieces.
I see them going, I'm going to take the over here as well. I got the Bengals going at 11-5. An 11-5 wild card team. That's like buying a used car, but a used car that's barely been driven. It's in really good shape, and it's humming and purring on its way to the playoffs. They're not going to, I don't see them as a Super Bowl caliber team, but I see them making that next step that Houston's been getting in the way of the last couple of years. They look great on offense outside of the Ginger Rocket. Andy Dalton's a good quarterback. He's not great. I don't know if he has the capability of being great.
But A.J. Green is great.
Mohamed
Sanu's back from injury.
That's
They've
right.
added their first running back that's actually fast
Super
in
fast.
decades.
Yeah, he is small and super fast, and you know, X factor to watch out for on the real games and in fantasy football is Tyler Eifert. That man, like a Gronk 2.0 tight end. They're going to pair him opposite Gresham. That's something to watch out for.
What about the Steelers?
Division champs, 12-4. Big
Really?
bounce back year for Big Ben and the gang. They had the #1 rated defense in the AFC last year. They hit hard and they make you pay for it and remember it. They lost James Harrison, but when you lose his hard hitting, you also lose his crazy.
But they gained Jarvis Jones from South Carolina. He's going to be, or Georgia. Georgia, and he is going to be a monster.
I see the potential for a Patrick Willis 2.0 back there. Oh, and also, here's a huge plus for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Do you know who their starting running back is?
Not
Rashard Mendenhall. Doesn't matter who it is. It's Le'Veon Bell, but as long as it says in the back, not Mendenhall, they're not going to fumble as much.
I think they're going to miss the playoffs.
Well, I'll see you in January, friend.
I am going to be totally wrong. I just like to hate on the Steelers. What about the Browns? We can agree that they're bringing up the caboose of division. 6.5 over/under.
So many guys to like on the team. A root-forable city at that. I want Brandon Weeden being the world's first 53-year-old starting quarterback in the NFL. It's such a great story.
2.0.
Wiki 2.0. They changed the whole entire infrastructure from the general managerialsmanship, bringing in Mike Lombardi. They got Coach Chud. You bring in Norv Turner. Norvell Turner is a great offensive coordinator, not a leader of men. And you get Ray Sherman, the DC of the Arizona Cardinals, now calling the shots on the other side of the ball. They're going to be one of the best 5-11 or 6-10 teams. I'm going under as well.
I'm going to go under as well. I like them. I think they're well organized. The division's too tough for them to take a big step forward this year. Worth noting, that's a Browns team that lost 5 games by a touchdown or less last year. They could be out to prove us wrong, and a lot of people wrong this year. Whatever the case, AFC North is a division that's put at least 2 teams in the playoffs for the last several years, looks to do it again this year. Let's talk AFC South. The Houston Texans. Probably the only team that's really impresses on paper, at least. We'll talk about the Colts in a second. Nick, 12-4 was the Texans last year. 10.5 is their over-under for wins. Do you see them going over or under this year?
I see them actually going over the 10.5 from Vegas odds, probably finishing 12-4 or maybe at best 13-3 this year. I do see a little potential Buffalo Bills of the second decade of the 21st century syndrome developing with the Texans because they have a lot of star players intact. They've got a serviceable quarterback, sometimes plays very well. They've got a great running back, and they've got a stout defense. But there's nothing that says you guys can get over the hump about this team. I see them going 13-3, and then another team with more playoff experience in the playoffs, failing them once again. And their stupid Leatherman jackets.
I feel like the most defining aspect of the Houston Texans is the crappiness of the rest of the AFC South. And before the Colts fans get too upset, yes, you were 11-5 last year. You were also outscored by your opponents. I never took a stats class, but I know what regression to the mean is. I think this is a team that finishes 8-8 under their predictive 8.5 wins.
Yeah, there's a very high-quality SB Nation blog called Stampede Blue that writes about the Indianapolis Colts, and they are not going to be happy when they hear this Patriots fan saying, sorry, but there is no chance in Hades that you guys are going 11-5 again. 8-8 would be absolutely great. They've got Andrew Luck, T.Y. Hilton on the rise, Colby Fleener is going to be healthy. They brought in Ahmad Bradshaw to pair with Vic Ballard for a nice tandem running combination. But who do they have on defense? I think they have you and me and the guy behind the camera. I don't trust him very much. So look, they should come back to the pack because, like you said before, no team deserves to go to the playoffs, Chuck Strong or not, that gets outscored during the regular season. Gonna have to come back to the pack, guys.
An exciting team. Andrew Luck's fun to watch, great offense. I'm not picking them for the playoffs. What about the Titans? This is a very blasé 6-10 team, 6.5 wins in 2013. I'm gonna take the who cares.
Yeah.
Money's I like bets off. I'm not touching that. I think it's maybe 7-9. Great, I guess. Where
we
do they
don't
get
know
better?
anything about these guys, do we really? I mean, what do we know?
We know that their interior line is a great deal better, having drafted Chance Warmack out of Alabama. Chris Spencer is a good backup guard for them. This is a team that's going to run the ball a little bit better, but they're still like, what are you going to do? Jake Locker, win this game for us. I'm not. I have no passionate feelings about the Titans.
I'll take things Mike Munchak is not comfortable saying, Matt, for 400, please. They got one of the best safety combinations in football with Michael Bennett and now Bernard Pollard back there. They've got a really stout defensive line. They got a bunch of question marks at receiver. Can Kendall Wright fulfill his promise in year 2? I know he's shaped up.
Yeah.
He's looking and feeling better.
Lost 15 pounds in the offseason.
Right. We haven't heard about Kenny Britt having a DUI in weeks.
I know.
Which is great.
He has not been arrested in like a year now.
Right. And Chris Johnson, again, the world doesn't think he's going to be able to do it once again, so he'll be out to prove us wrong. But I do not trust a starting quarterback that cannot complete 50% of his passes. I can't do it. I'm going to go 6-10. Right there, bam. They are the Buffalo Bills of the AFC South. 6-10.
Never heard it better said. What about the Jaguars? Better than 2-14, over/under 5 wins?
I'm going to go. All right, they can't. No way they could possibly go 2-14 again. The talent at wide receiver and running back alone indicates that they should be involved in a couple more shootouts. They were so fun to watch towards the end of the year.
Cecil Shorts, Justin Blackmon.
Right.
And then MJD back from getting shelved for all of 2012, almost all of 2012. I think this is a team that's, we'll give them a push.
Sure.
Maybe 6-10, but you're not getting that much better, Jacksonville.
No more handsome Blaine Gabbert, the mustache of Chad Henne. They almost beat the Texans last year, almost beat the Patriots, 5-11, and feeling good about themselves, just as they decide to become the Los Angeles Jaguars of London.
So there's your AFC South quick and dirty preview. Good news once again for the Texans until it gets to the playoffs. Let's talk AFC West. With me is Nick Stevens. We're talking Denver Broncos. Got to be the AFC favorites here, on paper at least. 13-3 last year, 11.5 wins.
Right.
Over or under this year?
I can make this AFC West preview for you real simple and easy. Yep. Nope.
Really?
That's pretty much it. I mean, come on, look at this. The Broncos, I see them going 13-3 all over again.
Agreed.
I don't see them falling on their face and then urinating on themselves in the floor the same way that they did last year by not covering the one guy that could beat them. That was one of the most inglorious and ignominious finishes in playoff history. Up by a touchdown with 7 to go. Just cover the guy that can run past you and score a touchdown because they're out of timeouts and they couldn't do it. Have they addressed the secondary help?
Nope.
No. Do they have some issues on the defense now? Lost Doomerville. Von Miller's going to be out for 4 games. So, again, that's why I don't see... They should... Everything says with this division and that offense, they should be 16-0. But I see 13-3. A better playoff route this year, but still... I'm not buying everyone's favorite, the Broncos, for the Super Bowl. Not going to do it.
I think the holes in the secondary are going to be their undoing, but the offense is going to be fun to watch. I'll take over on that at 11.5, though. What about the San Diego Superchargers? 7-9 last year, 7.5 wins this year. I'll take them. I'll take the over. I'm going to say they're 8-8.
The best thing that could have happened to the Chargers in 2012 was finally getting Norv Turner fired because he's not a great head coach. Great OC, but not a real leader of men. In comes Mike McCoy, who brings some of that winning spirit from the Broncos. He's going to work with Phillip Rivers. They add Danny Woodhead, Ryan Matthews, lovable, talented running back, but difficult to embrace, as we know, because when you hug him, he breaks.
Yes. What about the Raiders? 4-12 last year, cleaned house. Everybody's new. 5.5 is the win total. Over/under. What do you say?
All right. Who plays wide receiver for the Oakland Raiders?
Denarius Moore is the only one that I can name.
Great. I think he's the only one actually on the team. Jacoby Ford.
Rod Streeter.
Rod Streeter.
Is actually not a 1980s TV drama actor, but a real wide receiver in the NFL. Not one I would want starting for my team, though.
No.
I think under that 5.5 is easy money.
Right. They lose one of their best players along the defensive line, Tommy Kelly, to the Patriots. All the wide receivers get hurt on a regular basis, and we know there is no one more infuriating in the world to watch, root for, and possibly own on your fantasy team than the Irish man who doesn't look very Irish, Darren McFadden. He's going to get hurt once again.
Super talented until that leg injury happens.
Until the high ankle sprain by October 15th. So I'm going to go 4-12. That looks about right. I would almost think this says 2013 record, 4-12.
I think the big exception here is the Kansas City Chiefs. I see them taking a huge step forward. Disastrous last year. The only reason they didn't have the worst quarterbacks, Matt Castle and Brady Quinn, in the NFL last year was because of the Arizona Cardinals. I think with Andy Reid, who is maybe not the guy you want taking you to the Super Bowl, which he's not going to get there anyway,
right.
But Alex Smith and Andy Reid create the ability to get to the ball to their most talented players, Dwayne Bowe, Jamal Charles. This is a team that's going to bounce forward 10-6, I say, this year. I'm going to take over on that 7.5 all day long.
For the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid, it's all about the haves and have-nots. Do you know what they have not in Kansas City? The miserable jerks that are Philadelphia fans and the people that call sports radio in Philadelphia. Do you know what they have in Kansas City? A lot of talent on offense, a young, sturdy defense, and a lot of delicious things to eat. That bodes really well for Andy Reid. This is the trending upwards, super sexy 2013 playoff sleeper pick that can't be a sleeper anymore because we're talking about it now. I got them at 10-6.
I think they're going to be your wild card team out of the West.
That's right.
So there's your AFC West predictions, concluding our AFC conference preview for 2013. Be sure to bookmark this video. Hit up me and Nick on Twitter when you're watching the Buffalo-Oakland AFC Championship game.
I'll bring dip.
All right, we're back at the desk to talk AFC playoff predictions. Nick, I don't want to dance around this. Let's just go ahead and talk who you got going to the playoffs.
All right, enough of the fancy football talk. Let's get right to that postseason, shall we? Bam! Wow, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I've got the number 1 seed in the conference, the Houston Texans at 13-3. Patriots the number 2. They get themselves a little bit of a BYE week where they can relax and heal up. And we have the Steelers, the Ben's Gals, the Broncos, and the Chefs.
Ben's Gals?
Ben's Gals.
Are these new people?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the Who Days, if you will, yeah.
Yeah.
So, first game right there, I got the Steelers. The Steelers are taking on Ben's Gals. That's a great AFC North playoff matchup. The Steelers have won the division, both really good games against the Bengals in the regular season. Another nip and tucker right there, and I see the Steelers making their way just past the Bengals. Good job, good effort. The other game in the AFC wildcard round, Broncos, AFC West matchup. So we've got 2 basic, divisional matchups there.
Okay.
Broncos easily hand it to the Chefs and make their way. And now we get into the real, everyone's favorite weekend of football.
Sure.
4 mini Super Bowls. Steelers at the Texans. Going to be a tremendous game. Big Ben has one of the best playoff games of his life, but somehow they just don't have an answer for the running attack of the Houston Texans, who get a significant playoff victory at home that doesn't come on the coattails of the Bengals. Exactly.
Yes.
They beat a different AFC North team this time, and they make way as the 1 seed to their first ever AFC Championship game, where they will play a team that they handily and roundly defeated earlier in the year, the New England Patriots, who barely survive a midseason matchup against the Broncos, and they get Welker revenge this time. They make their way back home. The Broncos come walking in thinking, oh, yeah, we'll show you this time. And they're going to have another classic Brady-Manning matchup. Boom.
Yeah, I was going to say, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. I feel like the media might pick up on that one a bit.
You think so?
Yeah.
There might be some mild coverage. We were denied it last year. Why? Who we talked about earlier, Raheem Moore. I blame him for a lot. Why are we in sequestration right now? Blame it on Raheem Moore. So the Patriots squeak another one out against the Broncos. Epic Manning-Brady matchup. And here we are, a rematch of the Texans against the Patriots. And this time, all the fancy Leatherman jacket, the Leatherman jackets that they want to wear, be gone. Because the Patriots love going on the road in the playoffs when it counts. And that's right, all the wide receivers you can possibly have never heard of in your life before lead to a smackdown of the Texans, and your New England Patriots are the AFC champions in a year when everyone doubted them and no one saw it possible.
I feel like we've gotten the most completely unbiased and objective opinion
That's what we delivered.
we could have possibly asked for. Also, please note that more useful than a Letterman jacket is a Leatherman jacket. They've got like knives, scissors that comes out,
yeah,
pliers. Let's go to my playoff predictions here. I've got. I went a little bit different with you on the AFC North. I've got the Steelers not making the playoffs. The Bengals as your division champs. Ravens squeaking in as a wild card. First wild card weekend is Pats going down to the Ravens.
How dare you?
I don't even know why I did that. I feel like I've done this just to provide balance to this show.
You did that just because you knew a man wearing a 15-inch Brady face on his T-shirt, like a 9-year-old boy, would be coming into your studio.
Also, wild card weekend, the game that they slot for the Saturday afternoon game that nobody wants to watch. That's your Chiefs and Bengals right there.
Oh.
And I think the Bengals are going to take that one relatively easily because you hire Andy Reid for one reason and one reason only, to turn your team around and lose in the playoffs.
That's right, and he's damn good at it.
He is really good at that.
He's really good at that.
Also, and then again, the next week is where you start getting the good, tasty stuff. Ravens and Broncos, rematch of last year. This time it doesn't come down to Raheem Moore and him needing to stop a 70-yard touchdown pass. I do see the Broncos going through here. Elsewhere in the action, the Bengals finally get their revenge against the Texans. I'm at once both predictable and I like to see some revenge games. I want to see justice served to these teams that have suffered frustrations.
That's a double revenge factor you have there in the divisional round. That's pretty impressive.
I think it's kind of interesting. Also, while you had an AFC Championship game that was all blue and red for the team logos, I like the orange better. You know, what can I say?
Look at that.
Yeah, I can't believe that I've actually chosen the Cincinnati Bengals to make it to the AFC Championship game. Broncos going to the Super Bowl, not an original pick, and one, in fact, that I don't have a ton of confidence in. Because you know what? I'm actually not a professional. I'm not gonna BS you and tell you that this is definitely gonna happen because I'm not an idiot. And things always happen the way that you don't expect them in the NFL.
Exactly. Like, I don't think you expected me to just scribble all over that so as to look like a broadcaster signing off an episode, did you?
Speaking of which, that is the end of our AFC preview show. If you enjoy Nick and I, follow us on Twitter. For me, at Matt Ufford, you, Ahoy Nick Stevens.
And for all the mostly biased and crazy masshole-laden Patriots talk you want, hit me up on @FitzyGFY. Why? Because you know I care.
All right, that's this week of Uffsides. Check us out every Wednesday on SBNation.com. If you enjoy Nick and I, want to hear us talk about fantasy football, got a new show, War Room Live on Sundays before the games. It's going to be amazing. Until then, we'll see you around the internet.